See if anybody even. Oh, that got dark. That should look crazy. What the heck is going on? Nah, I'm not gonna be. Oh wait. Let me tell you, Grace. Hey, what up, y'all? I gave Zen a little headlight to go down to the tent, and his mom just texted me that he said we have to take the light back to Daddy or he will be mad. That's cute. What's everybody up to? Just seeing how many insomniacs there is. Right here is 8 o'clock at night, but I know in a lot of the world it's much later than that. Renee the Benny said, I hope you Zen and Faith are okay. Yeah, we're doing really good. She goes by Grace now too. Yeah, but we're doing really good. Life is good. Things are coming along. You're in Puerto Rico. Sounds like Koki's. No, we're actually in Hawaii, but the thing is, let me get back to the screen with more color. Okay. The thing is that those frogs were brought here to Hawaii and they kind of just got out of control and became invasive. So basically we got the same nighttime soundtrack as Puerto Rico. So those frogs will serenade you to sleep. Well, like a lot of people, they think they're loud or they're annoying, and then other people just to us, they're just like a background noise. So it's kind of calming in a way, just to hear that, as the night approaches, it starts to get darker, you start to hear the frogs come out. Yeah, so that's a different vibe, like sleeping outside especially. Like that's definitely a big difference, in sleeping, as opposed to sleeping indoors. Like it's really a different energy. Like we've been sleeping in tent for a couple years now, and it's just you just get more rest. I feel like you just get more rest just because you're outside, and it's like, especially if you live in a place where you could sleep outside close to the earth, like that's what's up. Yo, what up, Mo Better? But yeah, so it's just cool. We're super blessed. I just had posted on my Kaizen Designs page about my business and how I had started it. Like I remember when we first got to Hawaii, we were just completely, unaware of what was to come or what was necessary. But then we, we're trying to figure it out. And, alpha donations, like doing readings. I remember Grace was doing like readings for donations, and I asked for a laptop, and somebody said they had an old laptop, so they sent it to me, and and I fixed it up, and then I made it really work for what I wanted to do. But then, I started doing design work and stuff, and like I was doing it for instance, for donations, so I would work on a design for a long period of time, and then like send it to somebody, and they might just give me $5 for it, But I was telling the story of like one of the things that I think has helped me the most and that have integrated personally is this concept of like doing the best with what you've got. It's so easy to idealize or romanticize or think that maybe if you had a better thing or a newer version, that then you could make some progress in your life, or then you could get started. And it's just like this thing that never really comes, it's never really perfect. The time is never really right. So whatever you have right now, if you could take that and make the best with that, that you could generate the best situation. And until you like exhaust the utility of what you currently have, that's how you pave the way for the next thing, you know. But like if you're not utilizing what you already have, why even receive more? You know, why even have more if what with what you already have, like you're not even taking advantage of that, right? So yeah, that was that whole concept, that I truly believe like that's something that you could tap into, that's just available to anybody, you know, just to make the best with what you have. It's the easiest way I could sum it up, you know, whatever situation. Like there's usually a lot of effort left on the table. Like most people aren't utilizing, like most of us, we probably take for granted most of the stuff we have and the opportunities that we have. So it's just, you know, whatever to us. But, you know, to really squeeze out all of the juice, all of the value, and all of the gratitude out of life, like that's rare. You know, I feel like that's pretty rare because we get used to what we already have, or we see what somebody else has, so we trying to think that we need that in order to reach a certain level, when in fact it's just like you can get there just through focusing on what you currently have and giving energy to that instead of thinking that it's the next best thing. Like there's a passage in the Tao that basically talks about this, where you could tap into a state of you're so present, like you don't care what's happening in the town next to you. Like you could live 80 years in a town and you don't even care to bother to go to the next town over, because you're just so pleased with life, you're so content with life, and you're not thinking that success or anything is going to come from moving somewhere else. Nothing is going to come from the next thing that you acquire, that in fact that the opportunity to enjoy and relish life is already available to us, you know, in this current moment. So yeah, I really enjoy that. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, if anybody wants to come on and build. Lorenzo said everything you do balances itself out, but the initial stage is unbalanced, discomfort. Yeah, I think everything balances itself out, you know, ultimately in the grand scheme of things. Like shit, you can't have a vacuum. Like as soon as you remove a piece, it's gonna be filled, you know, by another void. So you have to realize that that's how the universe balances itself out. You know, anything that we do, any action. Mo Better said, thanks for the motivation. I appreciate it, bro. I'm grateful. Yeah, so, I mean, this is a certain amount of people that actually awake. Lifted Bodhi said, I literally just finished chanting, what a great way to finish my evening, Daimoku. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, what were you chanting? Were you like saying a certain mantra, or what does that look like for you? Zen Life Grace said, I knew it. What did you know? Goodyard Gives said, did you see the pics from the new telescope? Thoughts? No, I don't even know what that's a reference to. Like, are you talking about you have a telescope, or like they just took some crazy ass pictures with the telescope? Trying to figure out. Issa said, I've seen 9/11 time or number every day since I was in grade school. Do you believe in angel numbers? That's a good question. I mean, I believe in like the mathematics of the universe. Like I do think that there's some level of coding that's built into this reality that I mean, just the concept of numbers is crazy. Like did we discover them? Did we create it, or is it something that existed and we just discovered it, right? So even that is like, it makes you think that there is something to numbers, because it appears to be this like magic thing that just exists, and we try to give it some sort of explanation. Oh, you said NASA just released some new pics, some crazy ass new pics. I don't know. Let me look that up. Maybe I could find it on my computer. NASA new pics. Jupiter photos from NASA's new space telescope. Yeah, the universe is crazy. It's just crazy. Like, it's such a trip just to think about that we are part of the universe. Like, we're a part of a galaxy. We're a part of a galaxy that's part of the universe. That's so infinite that makes us seem infinitesimally small. First images from the James Webb. I don't even know if I want to look at this. Is that a red light on you? Yeah, I got this software that makes the light go red at a certain time of night, so you don't have so you can block out some of the blue light. Especially if you're trying to go to bed and you want your circadian rhythm to, be on point, then yeah, you gotta block blue light when the sun goes down. Man, they got a whole bunch of other stuff right before, and they're not showing the pictures, so I don't know. I guess I'll see them some other time. Potent T said I low-key don't. Yeah, I like the red light. I feel like it's softer on the eyes, but right now it's like super dark. But there it goes. Yeah, like I think it's softer on the eyes. Like I have this headlamp and it has a red light, and I use that when I go to the tent because I don't want to wake them up. I don't want to come in like with some harsh ass light. So the red light, like, it allows you visibility, but it's not giving you like that harshness of the blue light or the full spectrum light. Hey, what up? What up, Poseidon? How you doing? How's your night going? Yeah, it's weird. Like I always think about like what's the reason? You said Zen just busted his lip. How did he bust his lip? With the lamp? Probably stretching that out. Probably hit him in his face or what? Yeah, I always think about like how people perceive me, and how we perceive each other versus how we put each other out. Like, how do people perceive us versus how we think we put ourselves out to be? Because like sometimes I'll be thinking I put myself out a certain way, but then I attract people who perceive me for a certain way or in a certain light. Yep, yeah, I knew it. So maybe he don't want to mess with that light anymore. Hey, what up, Martin? Said greetings, hermano. I appreciate your content insight. Yeah, appreciate it, bro. Thank you for your support. Thanks for checking it out and being receptive and open to it. His lip is bleeding. Well, do you need anything? You need like some paper towels or some wipes. Oh, you said look at my midheaven. That's how the world perceives me. Yeah, I don't even know what is my midheaven. Grace will tell you. You said perception is just opinions, though. Yeah, I mean everything's opinion, right? But I think, yeah, it's interesting because it's like, yeah, that's people's opinion, but at the same time, I ask myself like, the opinions that people have of me, like, is there some validity to them? Like, if everybody sees you in a certain way, maybe they're just letting you know that there's something you need to reflect on, like, so it's like, yeah, and on the other side though, but it's just their opinion, so does it really even matter, right? Like, I guess I'm just looking at things like sometimes I like to see how I can use people as mirrors to maybe see things about myself that, I don't typically see or couldn't see just on my own, but through like me reflecting off of energy that allows me to see myself in some sort of way. So oh, you said my midheaven is in Aquarius? I thought that was no, I'm tripping. I thought that was my north node. Not because Yeah, because I think that, you know, you do attract to a certain extent. You know, things that get attracted to you are because of what you're putting out in some sort of way, right? Like there's some connection. Like even in this situation, in my situation, like some people see me as the dude that's for meat, that just promotes meat. Some people see me like as a carnivore. I never said I was a carnivore diet or anything like that. Some people just see me for food or nutrition or health. But then it's like other people understand and see other parts of myself where they might see me as something deeper than that, you know, because like that's just really one small part of me. But really at the end of it all, like it's all about self-development, about growth, about it's a real spiritual journey, even though I articulate it in a very tangible, logical manner. Like this does is for me like my spiritual journey, even with the logic and all that built into it. It's still a spiritual perspective to me. It still comes from a spiritual part. You know, I just think that my energy is like super informative, descriptive, and really tangible, but in my mind it manifests like in a spiritual way. I don't know if I'm explaining myself to be understood, but yeah. But yeah, vegan best diet said eating on a vegan diet is good for the environment. Yeah, okay, I mean, I'm suppose it could be. I suppose all variations exist, right? I'm sure there's vegan diets that aren't good for the environment. I'm sure there's a variety of them or version of vegan diet that might be good for the environment. There's versions of carnivore or omnivore diet that aren't good for the environment, and there's versions that might be in alignment with the environment. So it's like it's not like this one size thing, you know. I just think that we get so caught up in the dogmas and we get attached to labels, and we have a hard time escaping the labels and not attaching ourselves to it and just realizing this is some shit we going through. Like when I was going through veganism, I was going through that, like even though I was embracing it, I didn't feel like this is part of my identity. Or I mean at some points there was, you know, but you know, as I grew more, I just realized that there's something overarching that's way more important than all the food that we eat. That about, you know, if we meditate or not, like there's something way deeper than that, that's like on a level of the self, where it's like wait, like you're having this human experience, and are you growing? Like what are your lessons you're learning? Like there's something like just so much deeper than that when people focus on that, it just lets me know like they're basically relinquishing all power to what you put in your body. And it's like it has some effect, and I think that we tap into a frequency and then we act from that frequency, you know. So we might be at a frequency that's in alignment with fast food or whatever, so we tap into that. I don't think the food necessarily is what's changing your frequency. I think you align into the frequency that you generate internally, you know. So if you're not aware that you can generate frequency, then you're probably just going about being affected by other people's frequencies and energies and just being victim to that, you know, quote unquote. But then when you realize you could generate and alter your own frequency, and you could feel certain things based off, you know, how you think and how you maneuver situations and what you choose to focus on and the perspective that you choose to have, then that's when you can tap into generating your own frequency, right? Like now you could uplift yourself through knowledge and awareness of your own life and universe. You can now alter your internal state, so your external environment doesn't necessarily have to dictate that, because now you can use a healthy perspective to be able to keep your spirits up if something's going down, or to have a very, you know, empowering perspective on a situation, you know. That's what's going to keep your frequency high. Because if you don't have an empowering perspective, if it's just like life is just happening and there's nothing you can do and there's just troubles and woes in the world, that doesn't feel like the kind of thing that you want to embrace. It's not empowering. It's just putting you in a position to where you're just subject to existence and whatever it might bring, which is partly true, but there's also this huge concept of, well, what are you doing to attract that? You know, what accountability can you take through your actions that can alter that, you know. So that's when you tap into that frequency. I think it's all about awareness. You know, people say high frequency, low frequency. They have all these terms. The light, love, understanding, but it really ultimately it's about awareness, just being aware. And that's not something that requires knowledge per se, like the specific knowledge or the specific set of rules or regulations. Is just about awareness. Can you be aware of your reality? Can you be aware of your environment? Can you tune into what's happening? So that's what we're doing, right? When we're reading energy or we're reading people's body language, we're just going further and further into tuning into what's happening. So you're just bringing more and more awareness, and all these levels of awareness is what people might call higher frequency, higher vibration, you know, tapping into more and more awareness so that you are aware of more and more. And the more you do that, the more you embody this, you know, what people will call an enlightened spirit or perspective. So yeah, that's just like the way my brain chooses to interpret this kinds of things. Most meat people eat is clone. What do you mean by that? I mean, yeah, most food in general that people eat is garbage. Like it doesn't even have to be a vegan or a meat eater debate. It's just general. Like people going back to awareness. See, we lose you going back into the labels. No, we gotta stay on awareness. Stay on the bigger picture. Don't get sucked into this label of thinking that you're vegan or thinking that you carnivore. Don't get sucked into these labels. Like because that's not who you truly are. Like that's not the essence of who you are. Like you were somebody before that. You're somebody now, and you're gonna be somebody after that label. So that label is just a little game that you're playing with yourself. Like I don't care what label it is. If you just sticking too hard to it, like remember, it's just a game. It's just a game you're playing with yourself. Right now, you think that you have it figured out. You think that you have all the answers. You think that, you know, that you have reality in the palm of your hands and you know how things work. But then you figure out something else, or a situation happens where it challenges your understanding of reality. It challenges your preconceived notions. And that's essentially life humbling us. It's life letting us know, like, bro, sit your ass down. You don't know shit. You know, you don't know nothing. Stop. You think you're saving the planet. Stop. No, you don't know shit, bro. Like, just sit down. You know, and so it's like I've had enough of those moments to realize, like, to have that realization, basically. You know, because I myself was vegan for 5 years, and I was very strict and very disciplined about it and very religious about it. But, you know, like I said, always leave a little bit of room for life to present you something, or don't, but it's going to happen anyways. Like whether you get broadsided by it or you go into it with a little bit of awareness, it don't matter. It's going to happen no matter what, you know? So I think over time, that's why we usually look into the elders, because it's like they know that a lot of shit that they probably went through in life that they once thought was so true and so valid. By that age, they've had so many of those experiences that it's just like they don't got this chip on their shoulder like they know everything, because it's like, nah, that's just subject to change, you know? So I think traditionally that's why we valued the opinion of those people, because it came with a little bit of more life experience. To eat meat, then Klaus Schwab, synthetic food, and Bill Gates impossible. Yeah, I mean, it's going crazy. Like, I just think it's time to exit civilization for a little bit. I don't know. I just think where I see it heading, and it's not even like with the food, but like socially. I think society where it's headed socially is very, very volatile, and there's a lack of groundedness in where things are headed. Like, it's chaos. It's essentially chaos, and it's chaos because it's the feminine energy that's being released that maybe was suppressed for a while, you know, but feminine is chaos, masculine is order. So we're headed into like this just chaos of energy that's probably a residual from a suppression, but that's just what's manifesting, you know. And so it's like a time right now where is order and structure is like being broken. So I like order and structure. I believe it's healthy. But I just think civilization right now is going through some sort of collapse in a way. It's just like socially, things are not moving in a direction where people are getting closer and more understanding. Where they're actually learning to communicate. Maybe in the conscious community, maybe in the people that we might be familiar with, but in the greater population, what you turn on the news and stuff, and where you see people in the streets, like, that is just headed a certain direction, I think. And I mean, this is how I felt for many years, but like now it's just becoming super crazy obvious. CM Sottle said, "What was the journey that led you to the name Wild Quetzal?" Yeah, so I have a video on that, and essentially, like, at the time, I was really like studying a lot of the Mayan and Aztec traditions, not like the common, but like more of the indigenous teachings behind a lot of these concepts. And so I was kind of interested in like Quetzalcoatl and this figure that I found out was actually like a path that men take. So it's like this knowledge or wisdom path that men take, or this journey. So I really resonated with that, and then the bird, the quetzal, it's a bird that has a long tail feather. So being here in Hawaii, I thought I had seen it. Like I just turned and I saw a bird with a long tail feather, and I thought that don't make no sense because those birds don't live here, first of all, but I just took it as a sign. And the name Wild came from a story that one of the teachers told, that said that when the Spaniards came to Mexico and South America, and they were conquering, and they were basically trying to capture the animals and domesticate them. And he said that when they got that bird, the Quetzal bird, they weren't able to keep it for very long because it didn't survive. And what it would do, it would knock itself into the fence, into the cage, and basically do that until it died or killed itself. And I just thought that was a beautiful metaphor for humanity and this domestication that we undergone, and this concept of like keeping that wildness and not surrendering to the domestication process, to not being who and what we truly are, And so that's been a lot of my interest, is figuring out who the fuck we truly are, like what we truly are, what's truly our nature, and embodying that and living that, and regardless of what that looked like. Because a lot of the people who have an idea of what that looks like haven't ever embodied that in their life. They don't know what that looks like. They've been in domestication this whole life. So obviously it's going to seem like being wild is strange or different or foreign because all you know is domestication. But what if there are parts of you that you could tap into that you've probably never felt, but that could potentially bring about feelings and an experience that you could have, that you would gain benefit from, an experience that you would receive some sort of transcendental experience in realization that you're not your full potential, like you were living in a state of being suppressed, by your own self, really, and not truly expressing your authenticity, not your realness, not being who and what you truly are. What are your true emotions? What are your true feelings? How do you truly want to live? And so that's like that part of me that always reminds me, like, to be that and to embody that, and to seek to embody that, to seek to uncover what that is, like what is the nature of us. And and even when it comes to the masculine and the feminine, what does the feminine look like? What do women want? What do they desire? What is their true nature beyond what society and men of this current culture has said that it is, And I just think that that's something that has been taboo and scared to look at. But it's like we at some point have to acknowledge our true nature, or I think it would be wise to peer into that, just to gain understanding and to see like a lot of the shit that's going on is just because that's our nature, not because it's wrong or because it's evil, but because we have a nature, and until we come to terms with that, will we be able to deal with it, to be able to handle it in a way that's appropriate, but because we suppress these aspects of ourselves, anything that you suppress becomes condensed and compresses into stress, basically. Like, so you think that you are hiding it, but you're really just making it grow and making it exaggerated and extreme. Anything that gets suppressed, you see extreme versions of that. So, in a lot of the movements that are happening, they're just because this part of humanity has been suppressed, and so this extreme is being generated, and so that's just a natural phenomenon, and we can't get away from it. Even this, one of the things that I was going to talk about soon is how one of nature's laws is inequality. Like right now, everybody wants equality, everybody wants to be equal, but it's literally of law of nature that there is inequality, and that's because it's something called the Pareto principle. It's basically a law of nature that the small amount of wealth, or most of the amount of wealth, tends to accumulate in very few people. So you see it like in money, like a small amount of people have the most money. But you see it even in more physical things, like small amount of planets have the most mass, or stars have the most mass, and this is something Jordan Peterson was talking about. It just manifests itself, and so we want things to be equal, but that's not nature. Nature is diversity. Nature is all kinds of things. You have people who are not so attractive, and then you have people who are attractive, and you have all these principles that you can't really correct. You can't homogenize all of that to create equality. Like, that would be hell. Like trying to make everybody the same for the sake of equality would be hell. Like, it would not be a good place to exist in. I would not want to exist there, because there's no diversity. Everybody, the only way you can create equal outcomes is if you create equal action. So you have to force everybody to be the same. You have to force, you can't have a free will and let people do as they please, and also have equality, because people are going to make different choices, which are going to lead to different outcomes. So the only way you can control an outcome that is all equal and universal throughout is to control the process, to control the actions, and that means you have to control the people. You have to tell them what they need to be doing, and so it doesn't become their decision. So I just think that there's a lot of things like that in nature, and laws and principles that we can learn from, that we should learn to accept and understand and live in harmony with, instead of trying to erase it from reality. Like, we shouldn't try to erase these things, because they're part of what makes this experience, and they are balanced to the other parts of life that we experience. So if you only want the pure, if you only want the good, if you only want the light, then that's out of balance, because you need both, and so yeah, I think we'll learn eventually. Asea Suka said, what's your take on crystals? You think they have energy healing to them? Look, I don't like anything that places the individual's power outside of themselves. I really don't. I don't. That's why I really hesitate to talk about like food in a certain type of way, or to talk about herbs in a certain type of way. I think things have benefit, and you can utilize them to a certain extent, but I just don't think that the kind of power that people could have put on crystals and all these other things, that I think the mind and our own perception and our perspective is the thing that we need to hone in on, because that's what everything else is a derivative of, right? If you want to eat healthy, you got to alter your mind first. You got to make accept some sort of reality where that's a good choice, and then make that choice and take action on it. So it all starts in the mind. If you can control the mind, everything else will follow. And so I just don't like the diversion, because I've met people who know a whole heck of a lot about crystals, but when it comes to their traumas, when it comes to their shadows, they don't really know or aware or are looking for that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like distract yourself over here when the real issue's over here. So it's like unless we get to the root of the healing or of the remembrance that we need to get to, then we're just going in circles. And that's how it feels a lot of times with all these things in the conscious community. Like people just don't get it. Like you need to observe yourself and know yourself and be aware of yourself, you know. And if you could do that, like I think everything else will follow. That's why I don't really utilize those things like that. Yeah, and if you do, you know, it's like I wouldn't try to stop anybody from that, but I would just say consider that there's other foundational things or things that have a lot more impact that can be focused on, and you know that could help as well. With veganism, you activate. I don't know. What are you talking about? The crystals? People don't take ownership of their own choices. No, that's one of the more challenging things, I think, is just to be hold yourself accountable. Vegan Best Diet said, "Are you aware that animals are brutally slaughtered for people to consume?" Yeah, that's reality. That's reality. Yes, that's true. There's a lot of things that happen. I think nature is brutal. I think nature just is. We make a judgment that is brutal, right? But nature, other animals, like here's the thing that people don't understand either. The kind of deaths that animals experience at the hands of men are way less brutal, way less painful than what they will experience in nature. Like the predators that get the animals, they're eating these animals alive. Like that's how they're dying. It's not a quick death, you know, and neither is it for the animals, the males of the species that have to basically slam into each other and beat the living shit out of each other until one of them survives or one of them dies. And, you know, that's how they just earn their spot, you know, their territory. And that's just reality. Like we can try to say we need to minimize it or that we're, you know, but whatever. But the reality is that the large amount of deaths that happen with at the hands of humans is much less brutal than anything they would experience in nature. That's a good question. Eye on the Prize said, "What have you come to learn, find out through recognizing and understanding your shadow unconscious self?" Let me see. Yes, that's a really good question. I mean, like just like insecurities. A lot of times, like I just want to be acknowledged, and I don't like when I feel like my voice isn't being heard or what I have to say isn't being taken seriously. Yeah, I learned. Yeah, I learned that I don't, you know, often like speak up or say what I think in situations that, you know, call for that. I mean, there's a lot. There's a long list of things and programs that, you know, I just became aware of through that. Yeah, you know, that awareness, that practice. What I was talking about. Factory farming. Yeah, I mean, I just don't think this whole concept of food is very helpful because it's just like it creates like separation in teams when like people don't realize the obvious things that we should be striving for. So we debate on the things that we kind of both like when we could be striving for something together, right? You know, because that, like I think there's just different tribes or nations in a way, you know, like elements like the like on the cartoon Avatar, they have the Fire Nation, the Water Nation, the Earth Nation, all that. So I just think that there's different people who tap into different things, and we should just let them be what they be. But then instead we kind of like go to the other nation and we're like, y'all need to be on what we're on. y'all need to be eating like this, and y'all need to be moving like this. I was like, well, maybe that's not them. Maybe that's not their place. Maybe they're doing something else. Maybe their purpose is something else. To move in a different way. So just do what you feel called to, and let other people do the same. But that's part of it. But also, it's like a lot of times when I'm talking, people will be like, why you keep promoting eating meat or talking down on veganism? And it's like, I just think it's like a balancing thing, because I heard so many myths and things about animal foods that I realized weren't true. So it's like, I felt like, man, people should know about this, because people just repeat shit. People will say meat lowers your vibration and then just walk away and be like, what? Like, can you explain and expound upon that? What you meant by how does it do that? Like, what's the mechanism? Like, how exactly does that work and function? And if the grass is high frequency and the cow's eating the grass, why doesn't that accumulate in their energy? And why can't I take that from the cows? Like, I have questions. Can we talk about this? It's like, nope. Just know that meat lowers your frequency. And so that's why I make content like that, because there's so much of that I'm like, nah, like, we have to bring clarity to this. Like, keep doing what you're doing over there, but don't say this, or don't make up this, or don't pedal and push this just because you saw it in the meme, just because somebody made it look like it was true. Like, nah, bro, like, we got to go deeper than that, because it's deceitful. It's deceitful because people who are repeating it don't even have a deep understanding and grasp on what they're repeating. They're just hearing something that they might resonate with, and it might sound good, but they haven't really done the knowledge. And that's why you get people who just repeat something, right? They were given this script by whatever party they're affiliated with, whatever group they're affiliated, they're given a script. And so you talk to them, and they say, like, did you know that do this fact, and this is causing do this fact, but that's all they say is just they're reading a script. They're not really thinking and making judgments. Like, they've attached themselves to this label so much that they don't even know where the label ends and where they start. It just integrated as a part of their identity. So, like, they've adopted this as a form of self-identity that is hard to differentiate from your actual self when you're in it, right? So, you just become a peddler of repetitive jargon that has no basis in reality. So it's like, let me go back and see if I can bust some of these myths, if I can just eloquently, gracefully, tactfully bust some of these myths, and just share a perspective that people might not be familiar with, that might not be so popular, but that shit is real. Like, that shit is ancient. That shit is, is valuable. People get value from it. And so no matter if you don't look at it that way, but, there's this place for it is valuable. But Be Lit 44 said it's about respect for Mother Nature in any way, shape, form, and what that works for you. Yeah, exactly. And that's what my main thing is. At the end of the day, like, people ask, what's the shape of the earth? You think the earth is flat? Well, what shape do you think it is? I saw you use a globe on one of your memes. That means you think the earth is a sphere? Okay, like, first of all, like, chill out, bro. Like, that was a bubble. Like, you reaching, basically, right? But yeah, like, it's like, what does it matter what shape the planet is if we aren't even in tune with it? If we can't even live in harmony and utilize it and be familiar with it and have a relationship with it and be in reciprocity with it, what does it matter the shape? Like, I'm curious why there's so much high level of interest, but you can't walk outside and identify the fucking fruits in your front yard, or the weeds in your garden, or the animals in your landscape. You don't know nothing. You don't know nothing about that, but you over here calculating why the earth is actually a dodecahedron, or a flat plane, or a dimension in your mind. Like, yeah, I mean, that's cool. It's cool if you have time, but focus on the essentials. Work on the self, have connection with the earth. Just the tangible stuff, the stuff that's here. Like our minds get taken to other places when presence is needed in the body, the presence is needed on the land, the presence is needed with the earth, and we allow ourselves to be taken so far away. I being vegan for 1.5 years is not the way. Okay. Dirty Sunshine War said, in philosophy, they recognize the difference between the signified and the signified. Words, labels are just symbols. Yeah, that's true. Astro Unwilly said, there is a disconnection in people that don't understand their own nature. Yeah, and that's the thing. It keeps going back to our own nature, and we're going to have to talk about it at some point in a real and raw way and let the world know, look, let's talk about what the fuck humans are and how the fuck humans think and how humans move and what our true essence is beyond like the societal programs or whatever, and like have a conversation about that, right? People fall into labeling due to confusion. Or just due to not knowing themselves, thinking that they are that thing when they're in fact something completely different, but same at the same time. People don't get out into nature enough. I mean, yeah, that's a fact, especially if you live in the city. Like, I don't know, just being exposed to nature, living in more natural spaces, for me, at this point, it's a non-negotiable, I enjoy the peace and the benefits that you incur from just being close to the land, being close to a natural environment. It doesn't have to be like wild, like nobody's living in the wild, but we're living in more natural spaces, places where you see a lot of green, where you see a lot of trees, where there is some essence of wildlife, and not just concretes and sidewalks and asphalt and stores and shopping centers and malls and liquor stores and churches. Enterprise said, as a collective, we evolve and advance more quickly in these moments if we flood our consciousness with reverence, love, and respect for the world and all of life. For sure. Yeah, I think life is sacred, and I think to some extent we lost that perspective that life is sacred, so we treat it in ways that don't honor its sacredness. Comparison is a thief of joy. What up, plant-based lifter? That's my brother, by the way, guys. He's raw vegan. He's the one that got me into raw veganism. He's still going on that. I've abandoned the ship. But just so you guys know, like, I have family. I know people that are vegan, that are raw vegan, that eat different ways. Like, that's not the end all be all. Like anything outside of you, crystals are just tools. Exactly. You getting it. Witchy kind of woman said, first time seeing you live, grateful to be here. Hey, what's up? Welcome to the room. Happy you're in here. This is I usually don't go live this late. I usually go live like during the middle of the day, and yeah, that's been my normal pattern. But today I said, let me go online and see who's up, before I head to the tent. Yeah, it's just cool to be in these groups of people who are into the same thing. Like the internet is dope because of that. Because you could just be with people who don't resonate or aren't on what you're on, but you have the ability to tune into a room that's filled with people who, are for the most part seeking a similar experience. Maybe your food choices don't even exist in nature. Yeah, and I think everybody has a reason why they do what they do, right? Like, when I talk about food and way of life, it's all about sovereignty and being non-dependent on like things outside of you as much as possible, as much as is reasonable at this current moment, given our skills and understanding. But yeah, so it goes back to that. So it's like when you operate like, well, you're eating for sovereignty, well, you probably make different decisions than if you're eating for, other reasons, for health, for ecology, for sustainability, even though that, that comes into play as well, because I just think that ethical sustainability. Like, it looks different for me in my mind. I just don't think that we can do that on an industrial level, no matter what side of the food kingdom that you operate from. I just don't think it could be done at an industrial level. It just goes against the ecology and natural cycles. Eating food outside of what I cook lowers my frequency crazily. Yeah, for sure. Like if you don't prepare, you don't really know, what's truly in there, what's going on with it. It's just got another energy to it. I feel like we all have individual needs in a dietary sense, and we need to be respectful of our differences. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that even if, because people argue like, oh, do we really have, like, there's all kinds of arguments, but at some level, we all are entitled to our own sovereignty and our own free expression. So yeah, like, we shouldn't be telling people what to do. We should be respectful, because at the end of the day, like, you don't know, that's part of somebody's process. Like, somebody came up to me when I was vegan and told me like, oh, I shouldn't be doing that. Like, looking back at it now, I was like, nah, let my old self keep doing that, because that was part of my process. That was part of my journey. That was part of my awakening, and in this process of just making me see the world differently and tapping into different shit. So I was like, let me do that. Let me have that experience. I need to have that, and then come back and evolve from that. But still, it was necessary. Andy Ruiz said, how do you feel about pastured eggs and chickens don't exist in the wild? When chickens don't... Oh, yeah. Yes. It's all... It's similar, I think. It just depends. I mean, obviously, it depends on the diet of the chickens and all that. But, yeah, chickens are originally, I think, from East Asia. Originally they live in the forest, I think. So they're made to be in the forest. And that makes sense because, the trees will block out from predators like, different birds that prey on them. Even here, I think they have the Hawaiian falcon and I think it's called the eel. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but I think that bird could feast on chickens as well. But yeah, I just think that there's this balance. Like, I'm not obsessed with being pure, and that's the thing I learned about myself that I have to let go of at some point, is that this, like, trying to be pure in anything that you do sometimes is a detriment to you. So it's like, I'm not like, I gotta eat 100% raw wild meat that only I harvested myself. And it's like this, like, that's a goal to have, and that's an ideal, and if it happens, it happens. But I don't feel like guilt for going outside of the ideal, even though I still reach for the ideal. But I just think that we get too obsessed in this purity mindset, and it just reflects in everything. Like to me, like, the raw vegan is like a sense of that, like purity, or even like people who just fasting all the time. Like, that's a sense of purity, right? Like, we're not supposed to have periods because we're supposed to be pure women, But then you also have like that on the other side, like, only eat raw meat. You can only eat raw meat. You should never cook it because it's bad for you if you cook it. Only eat raw meat. And so you get those people who get religious about that, and it's like, yeah, like, I have ideals, but I'm reasonable about how that's going to manifest over time. Even with getting into hunting, like, I knew that I had thoughts and ideas that I want to execute, but I'm like, this is a long game. Like, you're not just going to go from a average city dweller who has no awareness of nature and get thrown in nature and survive. Like, that's a huge misconception that most people have, that you can just walk out into nature and be perfectly fine, because we were bred, developed, and raised in environments that don't reflect nature at all and that are devoid of nature. So it's going to take some time to get back to a state where we live in awareness of the natural world. It might take many generations, so that's why I think about it as a long game. I'm not in a hurry to be a purist or to do anything, because I know at the end of the day, like, I'm just, it's a time thing. Like, it's going to take time regardless, And so, yeah, I just want to foster an environment for that to happen, an environment where I could live in towards that direction, and then maybe pass down some awareness and skill to the next generation that could further that on and just recuperate that connection to the earth, you know. But at the same time, you know, we living in this digital age. Like, I'm on a phone right now. I'm not even gonna front and be like, you know, I'm not a caveman, because I come from that world. That world is me and a part of me, essentially. But the awareness that I have embodied has shown me the unbalanced part of myself that didn't know about nature, that didn't know anything of where anything came from, and that sought to tap into that. So that's the awareness that I'm at, is just that other part of the balancing act, where I now have to connect with nature, because I know the cities, I know what cars look like, I know what buildings look like, I know where people go to get drunk and have fun and do all this shit. Like, that's the city, that's civilization. But I don't know where all the shit that comes and civilization is built out of comes from. I don't know. Like, and I had to go investigate. I had to go see how is flour made, how is tortillas made, what plant does this come from, what's the origin of this plant? Like, is this plant wild, or was it domesticated into the state? Where did it originate on the earth? Like, there's so many questions I had to answer. You know, I had to answer the origins of our existence, and where we come from, you know, traditionally, before this program was embedded. Like, what do humans look and act like, you know? And I've had to have some experiences as well that showed me that too. Like, socially, how do humans who are all, it's in tune to the same thing, act and move like? And what does that feel like? What does that feel to be in an environment where you were born with people and you die with them? Like, your whole life, that's all you know. You're born with them, you share the same space, you see them grow, and then y'all see each other die. Like, and you live with each other every day in close quarters, and that's your perpetual existence. Nobody goes to work for 9 hours or 8 hours. Nobody goes on vacation and leaves and comes back. Like, that's your life. Like, that's how you live with these people. And that kind of bond, I think, is kind of hard for us to imagine or even understand and conceptualize from the places that we come from. We come from such independent, individualistic mindset that, oh, you going off to college, oh, you got a career, oh, good for you, oh, you got a job, like, that's your life. But then I have my life, and we kind of share that under like this overarching culture that was like the American culture, but not really. There's not really that intimacy like that. Like, I don't think most people. So I learned that through experience. You know, so all these things, piecing all of this together has been like my version of understanding life, and coming from that awakening of wanting to have the answers to all these things that I've never fucking thought about in my life. Okay. CM Sawtool said, identifying with labels makes you become a person who is easily offended. Yeah, I mean, whenever the label's attacked, you're gonna feel like that's personal, right? Witchy kind of woman said, we had to find what works best for our bodies, how food, in terms of where the food is sourced from. Yeah. When I eat out, I buy from establishments where folks are employed. I've worked in retail, and the kitchen is a hazardous place when it comes to workers' cooking skills. Also, some folks like to work. Dirty Sunshine where it said, I can't tolerate flat earthers. I mean, I guess I don't deal with them a lot, but they're very sure about their perspective. Others just need money to live in society, so the energy of love and food isn't always present. Okay, I get what you're saying. So, like, you might go some places where people actually like what they're doing, so the food comes out with a certain energy. But if you go to a fast food restaurant, which is typically the case, is people don't like their fucking job, so there's energy that is just getting spewed onto the food of, like, I hate life sucks. Yeah, I can see that. It's more important to focus on reestablishing our connection with the earth than it is to know if it's flat or round. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying earlier. Just focus on our connection and our relationship to it. You know, it's like, let's think about the earth as a mom, you know, as our mother, as we often do. But think about a mother's relationship with a child and then her son, her daughter. Like, if you're the child, like, you don't care what shape your mom is. Like, you love your mom because your mom nurtures you. Your mom cared for you. Your mom loves you. You know, she provides. Or if you're, you know, still a child, she provides, you know. So that's really what we're talking about here, you know. Um, relating, relate to the earth, just like a son, daughter will relate to their mother who loves them. Iona Price said, I feel like the same applies to all these woke accounts. They're not no different than himself in a sense. Yeah, it's getting pretty out of hand. Yeah, it's getting pretty extreme. Pendulum swings. Not discounting that a whole lot of it is in fact true, but it's a vehicle to produce constant repelled mental masturbation. Exactly. Yeah, it's like the things that we really don't have control over, and we can't really change or alter, but that we're giving all of our energy to. Like, that's super not conducive. That's inefficient. Like, what you're putting your energy into things that you have no control over, or that really, in the ultimate grand scheme of things, don't matter. You know. There used to be wild chickens in North America. Like, there's I don't know what type of chickens there is here, but there is like a version of a chicken. I don't know if it's a pheasant or a cross breed of a pheasant and a chicken, but they roam here, and they're faster and they're harder to get. I've never tried to hunt one, but they're more aware than like regular chickens, but they look different as well. But there's also all kinds of pheasants on the island, especially up Mauna Kea. Which kind of woman said our bodies can transmute anything that impure if you set that intention. Yeah, I think the body's super capable of a lot of shit. I mean, just based off my experience and the things I've seen and done for myself, compared to what people hold the body to be able to do. Like, people think the body's stupid, the body doesn't know anything. Like, there's that view, like, oh, the body's retarded and you basically gotta baby it. But then there's this other view where it's like, no, your body's just smart. It's just doing the best based off of how you treat it, based on what you put into it, right? So it's all a reflection of you, but you're blaming it on your body. So those are the both perspectives. You choose. Stay in the middle, maybe. It's my choice. John Dosha said, if we had to survive in the wild, I'm sure some would. Some would what? My boy popping Sheila G, right, Matt? I got some Sheila G right now. I'm about to take a couple tabs and go crazy. I had my last smoke and my last drink. Okay, good. That's awesome. The bond between mother and child is truly unbreakable. Some women have no understanding of this. Damn, we going there? Yeah, that's another topic. But it's crazy how it's all like linked, like how we can just jump from one thing to the next, and it's all the same thing in a way. It's all connected, you know. Gracie said, "What time is it there?" It's 9:11. Oh damn, 9:11. Hey, oh shit. No way. There was somebody in here earlier who said that they keep seeing 9/11, and that's crazy that I read your message or I read your question at that time, you know, because that was like one of the first things somebody said in this live, was saying that they keep saying 9/11, and then I read that and it's 9/11. Wow, that's interesting. Okay, I already answered this. Oh, okay. Mo Better said, are you into intuitive readings? What do you mean? Do you mean like getting them or giving them? I might be down to get one, but I never gave. I don't even know how I would do that. To give a reading, an intuitive reading, but giving them, nah. I mean, I've never done that. Like, I don't even know what that looks like. I'm guessing it's just like you tell somebody about themselves just through intuition, or I don't know. Well, that's all the questions, y'all. Damn, it's 2 a.m. The real, what is it? Real old Carrot said, what's your necklace? So yeah, this is my necklace, and these are boar tusks, and then these are seeds right here. There's this seed that is produced that's like 2/3 red and 1/3 black, and it just has this very interesting pattern. And then there's another type of seed, and then right here in the middle, this is a seed from a type of palm, and it reminds me of life and death, because the seed represents life, birth, and then the tusks represent death, the death of a being, the death of something, the death of life. And these are actually from the Amazon, like they were collected from wild bones in Amazon. But yeah, I just really vibe with this piece, and I really resonated with what it represented for me. This is a representation I gave it, but now actually these are teeth from the boar that I took here a while back. And so I also got the tusk, and I've just been drying it out and processing it, but I plan to make my own jewelry with the one that I took. And yeah, I just want to be creative with it and see where that goes, and just honor every part and remembrance of the being, of the life that nourished me and my family, and that can also be a part of my creative expression. Yeah, you said you rarely hear of boars. Yeah, here, there, everywhere. I mean, we sleep in a tent, and they always come close to our tent, so they were getting aggressive, and they were just not leaving. So I made a choice that I was gonna hunt one if it came on the property. So I just really felt like that was a sign, like, that I needed to, like, I was being offered, like the land was offering this to me, because it's like they usually just run away and they get scared fast, but it just kept lingering around, and I just didn't feel safe, because I was gonna make a video on this tomorrow. But like the tusk, let me show you the video that I recorded. Yeah, so this is the skull, and you can see the tusk right there, and it has guys can't hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right, let me know if you can hear me, because I don't know if I muted the video, but I pressed mute because I was explaining about what I'm showing on the video. Okay. All right, so you can hear me. All right, for sure. Okay, so look, I'm pointing out the tusk, and basically the top one, that one sharpens the bottom one. It sharpens the long one. And so they sharpen them so that they could fight each other. First of all, like the males, they get very territorial, so they need something to defend themselves, and that's what they use their tusks for. But then also to hunt maybe other small mammals, but then to ward off predators, so something's trying to eat them, they could, get them with the tusks. But that's just crazy. Like, if you think about it, like, this is a beast. Like, this is an animal that, from its own body, it generates a fucking weapon in the form of a long ass tooth that curls up and is able to impale enemies with. Like, that's crazy when you think about that. That's a real being, that exists on the earth. And so you see those holes in the front, those are its bottom teeth, and that's what I showed right here. These are its bottom teeth. So they had fallen off, but the tusks are really in there, and so they're supposed to be like 2/3 of the tusk is still inside of the skull, so you can't see it. So you can only see what's exposed, which is about 1/3. So yeah, I was gonna talk about this and share it in the reel, but you guys get the sneak peek since you guys are up here with me. Yeah, it's just amazing. Like, and it's been helping me learn about anatomy and my own body, you know, and just comparing it, because mammals are very similar. So you breaking them down, you can see the liver, you see the organs, you see the heart, and it just gives you like an appreciation for life, but also to understand your body and the intricacies of how organ systems work and stuff like that. But yeah, so hopefully I'll make some with this and make some jewelry in honor of the animal. Iona Price said, that beautiful piece of art you were wearing on your neck, do you have any for sale? I would love to get one for myself. Yeah, so here's my plan. I actually like just launched this or came up with the idea. It's still like in the works. I gotta make a website, but it's called Ancient Opulence, and I'm gonna be making jewelry from the animals that I harvest and that I have a story from, and making pieces like necklaces and stuff like that. So that's why right now I'm experimenting, but I just want to make it in a special, unique way where have a relationship with the object and the product, but also there's a story behind it, you know, and that's honored in a sacred way. Yeah, because I just think that, you know, this is like adorning yourself with the land. You know, you adorn yourself with something that comes from the land, that comes from nature, that is natural. It's a natural product, you know, in a world so full of synthetic shit. Like, this is actually natural. Like, this is what we are. This is what goes back to the earth, and you know, it's the most sustainable thing on the earth, you know. So I think for me, having a relationship with that is my goal. Let me see if I could just share all kinds. This is dope. Let me see. I was gonna post this. I don't know if y'all could read it. Let me. Because a lot of people talk about ascension, right? And I was just thinking, like, man, what is like a lot of people that are like wanting to ascend, they just don't want to confront reality. You know, like a lot of times we can use things as excuses to not have to deal with the reality of things. So I think spirituality for a lot of people is a gateway to that. Like, I think that's part of the things that I choose to integrate in my spirituality. Like, I like polarities and understanding that, you know, to some degree, life is full of suffering, pain, and hardship, and you just have to be okay with that, and to learn how to build yourself up to be able to handle and tolerate that in a way that actually improves you. You know, so like, I think that a lot of times that can be a gateway to avoiding these kinds of realities and these kinds of realizations, to where you might have to hold yourself accountable once you know. Let me see. The Riolo said, do you believe in soulmates? Shit. Let me see if I can stop sharing. Do I believe in soulmates? I think that it depends what you mean by a soulmate. Like a soulmate could be somebody who you just have like this not affinity, but like in this lifetime, that's a connection for you. That's somebody who's meant to be in your reality in this lifetime, right? But then some people could say, take it from more of a romance or a relationship type, like soulmate is somebody who you really romantically, you know, engage with. So yeah, I guess it just depends like what your definition of soulmate is. Yeah, because I think everybody in my life in some ways is a soulmate. Like, there's this soul connection, soul ties to everybody that I've known in my existence, you know, like they're representations of some soul or entity, you know. So yeah, that's how I look at it. Not so much like the romance way. I'm not saying that can't be a part of it, but maybe. I used to think a soulmate was true love, but then I realized that so many people generally have different viewpoints, and now I don't believe in love romantically. Yeah, um, yeah, that's an interesting concept. Romance, right? Where did romance come from, and what does romance mean? Like, and is that supposed to be how we're looking at each other for relationships? Like, are we meant to fall in love with each other, or in the way that we do, or is that just us idealizing it? Because when you get in a relationship, like, you realize there's a lot of challenges, there's a lot of growth potentially, and like that kind of perception of love can sometimes go away. But I don't know. Um, yeah, I think that's a part of it. I think love and romance is a part of it. For me, I think whoever I associate myself, even if in a partner, like, that's the mission, and my goal is the top priority. So whatever I'm about, whatever I'm seeking to accomplish, whatever the community is seeking to accomplish, like, that's how I think that I want to come together with other people, is through a common goal and vision and mission. Even in an intimate relationship. So yeah, I think that that's why I prioritize, because I just really believe in creating the change and being the change, and the way we do that, the way we can do that, is just by multiplying ourselves through the consciousness and awareness of our own children and descendants, and creating communities of people who have high awareness of themselves, and allowing that to permeate reality, by manifesting it, through making it happen tangibly, doing stuff, getting land, building a space, getting people together, like that ripples throughout existence. Ase Azúcar said, "Do you eat high fat?" Weird question. Oh no, that's not a weird question. No, I don't really prioritize any of the macronutrients. Like, I like protein, I like fat, and I like carbohydrates. I think, to me, I just make sure that balancing it out with energy, and that it's warranted, right? Like, whatever you're eating is warranted throughout the energy that you put out during the day, whether it's with your work or your purpose, or you're working out or whatever. However you balance it out, that's kind of my focus. Hey y'all, on the prize, you say you're taking off. All right, bro, thanks for being in here. Mo Better took off. Appreciate it, bro. Have a good night, and probably be getting off soon. Let me see. Oh, okay. The Rialo said, "What's your opinion towards veganism?" I mean, you can see it a lot of my page. I just think I have a different goal than what veganism has a goal for. Because my goal is just to create a way of life that's more independent to my own power, something that I could have more control and access to than be dependent on a system. So that's my priority. So, and to be in tune and sustainable with the earth, obviously. So when I ask myself from that perspective, how do I move? And the answer isn't veganism, and it's not anything in particular. It's tapping into nature and being aware and having a relationship with that, and whatever that looks like, right? Like, whatever that looks like, can I embody that? Can I embrace that? So if it looks like not being vegan, am I willing to go there to align to my mission, to align to my values, or am I gonna let that be a barrier? So I think that if your goal is to return to nature and to really have this relationship with nature, I very well think that could be a barrier for you trying to connect, because you're restricting yourself from a part of the natural cycle of life and traditional ways that have allowed people to live in connection with the land. I think that can be a very big obstacle. So that's why I don't really endorse it like that because of my own personal goals and what I'm seeking to create. Like, think about this, all right? I went and got that pig, and a decent sized pig, wild pig that you hunt, that's eating wild food, wild plants, wild shrubs, wild fruits, wild roots, wild bugs. A wild animal like that can provide you with like 50, 60 pounds of meat. That's like 40, 50,000 calories. So when you think about like from like a sovereignty perspective, like say you had a tribe, right? Say I was part of a tribe, and I got all these people, they're hungry. Am I gonna go out picking for fruit or for some roots? Am I gonna go out try to hunt this plant material down, or am I gonna go out there and try to harvest as much energy that I can for my people in the most efficient way and amount of time possible? You know, so that's how I look at it. Like, oh, I go get this pig to shoot, bring that back, that feeds the whole tribe. You know, that feeds the whole, like, and how, so if I take that out of the equation, that's going to be put me in a constraint, and I don't want to do that. I want to actually increase my adaptability, increase my ability to use everything from my environment. So here on the island, we got sheep, we got rams, male, but we got goats, we got wild pigs, we got the ocean, so we got all kinds of ocean life, and then we have an environment to grow a lot of fruits and vegetables and herbs and all that. So it's just like you have to know what's available with you within your environment and tap in. Like I said, you could restrict if you want, but what is your goal? Ask yourself what your goal is, and if your goal is to assimilate to nature, then that's going to look a certain way. If your goal is to assimilate to civilization, that's going to look a certain way, you know. So you got to know what your goal is and what your ultimate compass is. My compass is nature. Nature is my compass. So if nature says it's cool, then I'm down with it. And civilization might not understand, domesticated people might not understand, but it's my ethos. It's how it's the law that it's the law that I surrender to. I surrender to the law of nature. Whatever nature has validated through experience, through repetition, through generations, I honor that and I align to that. I surrender to the law of nature. Not the law of man, not the law that's been created in civilization. I surrender to the law of nature. And if part of the law of nature is to go to the land and to take an animal, take a being, take a organism from the land, well, guess we're learning to hunt. Guess we're learning to go out into the land and do that, you know? Like, that's it. There's no argument for me. There's no argument and no pushback, because then I'd be going against nature. I'd be trying to justify something that I claim to not like. I'd be trying to justify civilization. I'd be trying to justify all these other shit. Like, and it's not like I liked it. It's not like I embraced it fully from the beginning. Like, I rejected the concepts that I talk about now for a long time. I didn't express them or even try to experiment with them for about 5 years, but they were sitting in my mind. They were eating at my conscious. It was awareness that was tucked in, but it was still aware. So like when the time came, that's when I embraced it, and you know, that's where I'm at today, because I've made the choices that I've made to be open and receptive to something else. All right. Buenas noches, lifted Bodhisattva. Hope you have a beautiful night. You're the top of the food chain. Yeah, and I think even with things like that, like, people don't want to admit that, or they don't want to, like, people don't like the idea of hierarchies, you know. But when you look into nature, you see all kinds of hierarchies. Like how many of the gorillas and the apes are actually having sex with the females? Like, there's like a dominant gorilla that has all the women. There's animals that get all the prey. There's, you know, there's just some things. There's an order to life, you know. There's an order to life because that's the way life manifests. Not everybody's born equal, in their capacity to do the same thing. Some people might be stronger, some people might be more articulate, some people might be better dancers, better movement. Like there's all these manifestations, so there's so much diversity in us, but that ultimately means that there's going to be diversity in our statuses, which is what people hate, because that's hierarchies, but that's reality, man. Like, and if you want to be at the top of the hierarchy, then maybe you should move in a way where that's what's manifesting. Plans are power. Well done to assimilate your own beliefs, bro. Hey, what up, Adam? Maybe you can expand on that. Please save this live. You have said so very much that resonates with me that I have not yet found words to articulate, and I would love to listen to this again. I'm so grateful that you said that. I'm so grateful that you said that, for real. And I want to honor what you just said, because that's kind of been my realization, like, that I offer people, like an articulation of things that they've thought about that haven't been put into words, but that I help them, like, clear and organize in their mind. Like, I really resonate and appreciate that, and I'm grateful that's what that did for you. So yeah, I'll save the live. I wasn't planning on saving it, but I'll save it for you. Haha, bro, it doesn't take sense in the reality. Old man with prime young women. What do you mean? Yeah, I don't know what you mean by that. I'm just saying, like, there's hierarchies in life, and it manifests in different ways. There's dominant, like, just shit. Like, even think about all the animals. Why are they fighting for each other? Like, why are the males ramming into each other and killing each other? Why? Like, why are there boars, trying to control certain territory? It's about status. It's about hierarchy. Like, if you are the dominant one, you get access to certain things. If you are at the top of the hierarchy, you get access to certain things, And so, yeah, that's just a fact of reality. And I think I enjoy learning and understanding the laws that govern reality, because then I feel the freedom to be able to decide whether I want to embrace and go along, or I can create now, right? I can create different things, because if I know how reality works, if I know if I do this happens because that's law, then I can move in a way where I can accomplish my goal, utilizing the law, utilizing my actions to effectively trigger the law that will get me the result that I'm looking for. So I feel good about law. A lot of people don't like law. They don't like order. They want to be in the chaos, and I get that. They feel oppressed. But law is safety. Law is what allows the expression to safely express itself within the constraints of the law. So I like the stability of the law. Aaron said, I like the way you're moving through your belief systems regarding food. Yeah, I mean, it's evolved and changed. I talked to the other day somebody who said they've been following me since I was raw vegan. I was like, damn, for real? Like, that's crazy, because with a lot of people, when I got off that label and got away from that, some people stayed, but then I came to the path that I'm on now, and then a lot of those people came back, and we kind of met up in the same place. Like, oh, remember you used to be raw vegan? Yeah, I used to be raw vegan too, and we both ended up in the same spot. And now we're like, oh, what's up, man? It's nice to see you. We both into the same shit. It's interesting. Oh, you said old man with big money changed the game. Well, think about what money means. Money is just another one of those factors that creates hierarchy. So if with money, like, that's a resource. So in nature, what are any animal looking for, right? They're looking for mating preferences. It's gonna depend on the qualities of the male, and a lot of that is predicated on whether this male has the ability to generate resources. Is he a good hunter? Can he provide? Can he protect? Is he got good genetics? Like, all this shit is coming into play. So I think in modern civilization, it manifests as money, resources, strictly like that becomes a hyper focus, to where the attraction for for a lot of females is coming from, you know. So it's just interesting to see the human nature manifest, like throughout nature, but also like in civilization, and all these new factors, like you said, that are coming into play that traditionally might have not been so, you know, such a factor. You were craving Buffalo Wild Wings. Yeah, I haven't been to that in a while. It's been a while. Although I'm not gonna lie, we did have chicken wings today, but they were homemade. But I love spicy stuff, so hot wings. That sounds good. I'm not gonna put any more energy to that. Okay. All right, y'all. Well, look, I know y'all ain't gonna go to sleep, but I think I'm gonna call it a night. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will save this live just in case you want to go back, for the person that requested it. And yeah, I hope you guys get some rest. I'm gonna go lay down in the tent, and I hope you guys have a good night. All right, thanks for being in the room. You jealous I had wings? All right, love you guys as well. I'll see you guys in the astral realm. Stay balanced.